We are making easy accessories for a sewing room or shop. First, grab your favorite color marker, draw a line, and write the word buttons above it. I'm using a scrap of cardstock for this. Next, I'm laying down 6 little dots of white glue. You can use a Q-tip for this if you don't have a small squeeze bottle. Then I use my tweezers to drop glass seed beads into the glue. Once it's trimmed to size, you have a packet of buttons. Next up, we're making some easy balls of yarn using these cheap dollar store pony beads. I got this bag of yarn scraps from Goodwill, and I'm choosing this ivory color to get started. I'm using this big embroidery needle so I can fold the yarn in half and put it through the head of the needle. To get this ball of yarn started, I pull the needle through the center of the bead, leaving a lot of excess out the back. And then I pull it tight and put it up through the center of the bead again and pull it tight. It only requires 1 layer of yarn to cover the bead, so it's a very fast process. Once my bead is nicely covered or it becomes too difficult to put the needle through the center hole, I ensure both pieces of loose yarn are at the same end. Then I tie a knot and another knot and cut off the excess. For the first method, I left the tail of the yarn loose, but you can also tie a knot around the bead to get it started. Try both methods and see which one works better for you. When you buy yarn from the store, it's wrapped with a paper label, and that's what we're making next. To make my label, I'm using computer paper and a variety of markers to make a pattern. If you don't want to draw a label, there are lots of alternatives. You could use a solid piece of construction paper, magazine cutouts, or if you're computer savvy, you can shrink a real-life yarn label and print that out. If you like, you can seal it with gloss Mod Podge or Scotch tape before cutting it out so it'll be glossy. I left mine plain. I used tacky glue to attach the label to the yarn. Next up, we're making some simple bundles of yarn. To start, I'm wrapping yarn around a 5/8 inch wide popsicle stick, but you could also use cardboard. Then I slide the bundle off of my popsicle stick and use a small bit of yarn wrapped around the middle to tie into a knot. You can make this type of bundle in addition to the pony bead balls or instead of them if you don't have that type of bead. Finish by trimming the excess. You can also use a clip to hold the yarn while you tie the knot. The projects you're learning today would look great in a miniature knitting and sewing shop. Now we're making some super simple knitting needles. This is a really simple one-step process, but this first part is pretty important. You want to cut the very pointy, scary part off of the pin before sticking it in your ball of yarn. I used metal shears, but heavy-duty pliers will work as well. This makes the knitting needles safer and also an appropriate length. Now I'm showing you how to make a flexible tailor's tape for your sewing room. I start by using a yellow marker against the straight edge of a piece of computer paper. I'm coloring the back because I want this to be two-sided. I like using a Sharpie because it mostly bleeds through the other side and then there's very little for me to touch up. Now I'm using a straight edge and a pen to make a line about 1/8 inch from the edge of the paper. Then I use a fine tip pen to make small dots at about an equal distance from each other along the length. Don't worry about trying to make it look perfect. Then I cut out the strip on the inside of the black line I drew. For an easy bit of added detail, I use the edge of a black marker to emphasize the cut sides. Tailor's tape is really flexible, so to give it realism, I'm wrapping it around a bamboo skewer. If you want your tape to hold a very specific shape, cover it in Elmer's glue and then allow it to dry. The next step makes it really look like a measuring tape. I have this aluminum tape, which is adhesive-backed aluminum foil, and I wrap a small piece around the end and trim it to size. I do this on both ends. If you don't have aluminum tape, you can glue aluminum foil instead. Sometimes when you're making miniatures, they don't quite look right, so check out the full-size item to see what small details you can add to make them look more realistic. Make sure you check out the video to see how I made this popsicle stick yarn basket, and check out my other videos as well. Thank you for watching. Bye.